wanna leave this town.
Scott, you've been in goalkeeping for over 5 decades now. How has the role of the goalkeeper changed in recent years?
It's slowly evolving, but it's the principles are still the same. Ultimately, you've got to defend for your team and keep the ball as far away from that goal as possible. But there's various things that have come into play over the last even like 15, 20 years in terms of the pass back, in terms of where you want to be now. The sweeper keeper is the fashionable term for a goalkeeper now. There's all these little things, but generally the technical side is we train a lot on ball with the feet, and we cover a lot in terms of your positional work on the pitch with or without the ball. So there's various things that have changed, but ultimately it's still the same principle.
Do you feel that goalkeeping has become more of a specialist area, specifically in the last kind of 10 to 20 years, where there's a lot of more individual work than maybe there would have been in the past? Well,
it took a long time to get to that. When I first started playing, there was no goalkeeping coaches, so you end up, you trained with the team, you did what the team did, you did a little bit of goalkeeping stuff, but it was fairly unspecific to what you did on a Saturday. Your main goalkeeping involvement would be shooting drills. That's where you make your saves and make your decisions. So, and then obviously over the years, goalkeeping coaches have come into the game now, and I think for the better, and made it a more specific role. But we still need to realise that the goalkeeper is involved with the team. It's not just a go and train with the goalkeeping coach and you don't do anything with the team. You've got to make sure I do my little bit to cover various parts of the working week, but ultimately you're involved with the team and you're a team player.
We're all football fans. When you look across the top level of goalkeepers and you see the likes of Alisson at Liverpool, Ederson at Manchester City, to name two, do you feel that goalkeepers now approach the role differently to what it was, especially in terms of where they see their role in the game?
I think the younger goalkeepers nowadays it's what they're brought up with. It's what they're brought up. They're brought up with a pass back. They're brought up to deal with their feet. They're brought up to play higher up the pitch. Whereas the older generation have had to adapt to that and change as the game's changed. You know, there's not they've not had that sort of upbringing that suggests that this is the way to go about goalkeeping. They've had to really adapt. If you've been involved in the game as a player now for say the last 20 years, you have so many changes in your game over that 20 years. But it's all for the good.
You've been at Ross County now for 7-8 years, Scott. You've worked with some very good goalkeepers in your time here. Have you noticed a change in your expectations from goalkeepers when they come in the door to getting into the team?
I think so. I think when I first came in, I was probably I was the first goalkeeping coach at Ross County, so it was a blank canvas for me in a way in terms of how we deal with stuff, how we progress goalkeepers through. But nowadays, I think we're expected now. 7 out of the 8 years I've been here, we've been in the Premier League. So you have to play with a high standard to stay in the Premier League. So I think the goalkeepers that we've had over the years have all chipped in and played their part in the sort of development of Ross County over the last 8 years.
And during that time, do you feel that your roles almost had to evolve with that as well?
Yeah, definitely, my roles changed. It's not changed, I'm still ultimately responsible for the goalkeepers, but the way management has changed. They've actually involved me a lot more with the sort of the set play side of the game. Gaffer trusts me to do a lot of the set play stuff. A lot of bits of information on the pitch you'll ask me, which previous managers probably wouldn't have done. So you're actually involved a lot more on the day-to-day stuff and on a match day.
You obviously had a distinguished career yourself, won a national trophy at Wraith Rovers. If you were to compare the period where you were a goalkeeper and how football was played then to where it is now, how easy do you think it would be for you to adapt given the changes that you've seen in your time?
I was one of the ones that had to go through the changes in the laws, and we had something ridiculous laws like 4-step rule where we could only take 4 steps of the ball and that was the evolution of the game as well. But the pass back had to go through all that, so I think I was fairly equipped to take it on the next level. I kind of knew what goalkeeping was like when I first started to when I finished playing, and it's not really changed too much since then in terms of the laws of the game and the rules of the game, but just little tweaks on the pitch. It's probably the biggest difference.
in your time, just to round this off, Scott, you've had Scott Fox, who's had a great spell here, Ross Laidlaw, who's had a great spell here, Ross Monroe, who's really grown from a young academy goalkeeper, and you've had some great lone goalkeepers in as well, Nathan Baxter, Ross Doohan, Ash Maynard Brewer. It's been a really prosperous breeding ground for young goalkeepers, this football club.
It has been, and that's the way I've always wanted it to be. My kind of philosophy was I wasn't wanting to take a 35-year-old goalie and just have him play 2-3 years. I want to develop my own goalkeepers and try and push them on as well as I could. And I think that's been the correct sort of mantra for the football club, you know, and it's worked well for us so far.
Scott, thank you for your time.
No problem.